So we're going to do exercise 1, okay? Now, let me orient you to exercise 1, and it's really important that you get this orientation solid right now, because we are going to revisit this same exercise all the way through 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the exact same problem domain, revisited in different asynchronous patterns. So starting out with exercise 1, let's open up the README in the ex1.js. And let's try to get more familiar with what this exercise is asking us to do. And honestly, what it's asking us to do is, I've attempted to articulate a pretty common pattern that we run into, especially in the user interface of our systems. What you're going to be asked to do is coordinate the responses to a set of fake AJAX calls. Fake AJAX because I didn't want you to worry about setting up your own servers or any of that other stuff, so it's going to pretend to do AJAX. And I've got random delays in there such that every time you run your program, you're going to get different behavior out of it, just like you would in the real world. Okay? But these are fake AJAX. They're not actually making network calls, but it actually doesn't matter to us whether it's fake. What matters to us is that we want to pretend as if we're making calls and respond to the sequence of responses in a sane way. And the way we want to respond to that is we're going to request all 3 of them at the same time, aka in parallel. We know we really should use the term concurrent. But in parallel, we want to make the same 3 responses at the same time, or same 3 requests at the same time. Now, when we get a response back from file 1, we want to print it right away. In fact, if we get file 1 and file 2 back, but file 3 is still waiting, we want to print file 1 and file 2 right away. We want to render them as soon as possible. Why? User perception of performance. If we waited until all 3 were back before we printed them, the user's going to feel like the system is slower. But if we progressively render whatever we have, they're going to feel like it's faster. That's a really important component of experience, is user perception. Even if it takes the same amount of time, the perception is important. But one additional wrinkle, which is I want to make sure that those files print in the correct order. So if file 2 comes back right away and file 1 is still pending, don't print file 2 yet. Wait until file 1 gets there and then print both of them. So what we're wanting to do is render ASAP, but in the proper order. You see there's a little bit of a twist here. And that's intentional, and that's a generalized statement of a pretty common pattern in user interface design, doing multiple things in parallel, waiting for them to come back, coordinating their responses, responding as soon as possible, but making sure things happen in a sane order. That's what this exercise calls for you to do. So let me orient you to ex1.js. You'll notice I have my fake AJAX. It's mapping from a URL like file 1 to some contents, and I've got some random delay in there. I've got an output utility, which is a convenient wrapper around the console.log for you to use. Here's my getFile function. It makes that fake AJAX call. And this is the part where you need to start figuring out some code, because it's pretty easy to call getFile 3 times in parallel. I gave you that for free. But the question is not how to coordinate the requests. The question is, how do I properly coordinate the responses? And here's some hints for you. You're going to have responses coming back because of the randomized delays. You're going to have them come back in any particular order. Some of them might come back too early, which means you're going to need to have something hold on to some state for a while. You're going to need some sort of global variable or object or array or something to hold on to responses in case you're not ready to print them. And you're going to need to figure out how to have all these callbacks sharing over that, or coordinating over that shared state, and figuring out when it's okay to print something and only printing it once. All right, so we're going to take about I said 5, we'll take 10 minutes because I want to make sure everybody plays around with this. We'll take the 10 minutes, and then we are going to take an afternoon break after the 10 minutes. So we will come back, talk through the solution, and then that will be the time that we take our afternoon break. But I want you to play around with the pain of callbacks, if you will, by understanding just how hard it is to do what should be sort of a simple use case. It's actually pretty difficult when you have to manage all that state yourself through callbacks.